You alright? How you doing? Thanks for joining me. So today we're taking a closer look at what happened to the USS Arizona. Now, when I made my very first video on this channel, I looked at the top 10 landmarks and the Arizona was on that list. I had no idea what the Arizona was. I mean, I know now it's a battleship. It briefly mentioned the attack on Pearl Harbor, which I had heard of. And ever since that video, I've been wanting to take a closer look to see what actually happened. Now, it's a very poignant and delicate subject because it's during the war. Lots of people lost their lives. So I want to know what the events that led up to the sinking of the ship were. Because obviously Pearl Harbor was the introduction of the United States to enter the war. So it is a big part of history. So yeah, let's give it a watch.
The attack on Pearl Harbor is the event that brought the United States into World War II. World War I started in 1914, and World War II happened about 20 years later, and it lasted for 6 years. The United States did not enter the war until the end of 1941.
Okay, December.
Here is the United States, and back then there was growing tensions with the country of Japan. And in response, the United States Navy started putting more ships at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii.
Okay.
So here...
Makes sense. It's in the middle, so you're closer to Japan. Yeah, okay.
Hawaii, and it's made up of several smaller islands. This island is called Oahu, and it has the capital city of Honolulu. Right next to it is Pearl Harbor. It is a major naval base for the United States Navy.
Okay.
In late 1941, there were quite a few ships positioned at Pearl Harbor as a protective measure. This is Ford Island, and right next to it was called Battleship Row. Some of the strongest ships in the United States Navy were positioned here.
Oklahoma, Tennessee, Arizona, Nevada as well, maybe? That's all.
The Japanese took several days to sail their fleet just north of Oahu. On the morning of December 7th, 1941, they launched over 300 planes for the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
Over the next 2 hours, many of these battleships were either damaged or sunk.
Oh, okay. So maybe the red... Okay, so the USS Oklahoma was sunk as well, and the orange ones were damaged? Okay, so more than one ship was sunk.
The most well-known is the USS Arizona.
Okay.
At the time, the Arizona had a crew of over 1,500 men. During the attack, most of them were killed. If we now look at all of the deaths at Pearl Harbor, you can see that nearly half of them were from the Arizona. This is why the ship is remembered so well.
Right.
Let's learn a little more about the ship. The Arizona was commissioned in the year 1916. Right in the middle of World War I. It served as a training ship during the war, never actually seeing any of the combat. The Arizona was one of 2 ships that were built to the same specifications. They called these Pennsylvania-class battleships.
Okay.
The Arizona was built in Brooklyn, New York. Over the next 25 years, it would travel to many places around the world. It would even get a chance to carry the President of the United States. Starting in 1929, the ship received a major modernization, which means the ship was upgraded. The older style cage masts were replaced with much stronger tripod masts. This had more space for the various platforms that were needed. The modernization also had many improvements to the ship's armor, weapons, and machinery underneath. At the front of the ship is the bow. The back of the ship is called the stern. The very bottom of the ship is called the keel. And then the 4 propellers to move the ship forward, and the rudder to steer the ship. The part that overhangs in the back of the ship, they would often call this the fantail.
Okay.
In a
I mean, I'm guessing that's the same for most boats or every boat. I'm not really well equipped with my boat terminology, but I have been on one cruise about 20 years ago. Honeymoon cruise that was actually. So yeah, so stern, bow. Okay, yeah.
You'll see some chains. These connect to anchors on the side. The Arizona obviously was not an aircraft carrier, but it did have some planes.
Okay.
These would be launched on the ship's catapults. The planes were not meant for combat.
Wow.
They were sometimes called spotter planes.
Yeah, I understand spotter planes.
They would get up in the air and then radio back positions for the gunners to shoot at. When it was time to come back, they would make a water landing next to the ship.
Okay.
Then the airplane handling crane would carefully lift it back on board.
It's clever, isn't it?
On top of the ship is the foremast and the mainmast.
Yeah. Okay.
They were often called tripod masts because they were held up by 3 legs.
Oh, okay.
On both masts, there were several rooms called the battery control stations. They were used to help direct the ship's guns.
Yeah,
this is the searchlight platform, which would have been very helpful at night. A lot of these rooms in the front were used to control the ship.
Yeah.
This is the conning tower, a heavily armored control room where you'll find the commanding officer. They can still see out in the front of the ship through tiny holes, but will hopefully be protected in a battle. You'll notice we have several smaller boats on board, often used to carry men to and from the ship. These boats could be launched by one of the boat cranes on either side of the ship. Up at the very top here is the machine gun platform, with the smaller anti-aircraft machine guns. Down here, you'll find the larger anti-aircraft guns. And below that are the guns that are designed to hit targets in the water, such as enemy ships or torpedo boats.
5-inch.
Of course, the major weapons on board are the 4 triple turrets, making a total of 12 14-inch guns.
Okay, 14-inch.
They can swivel in just about any direction, and they can be tilted up to 30 degrees. They can hit a target up to 19 miles away.
I saw a movie quite recently with Tom Hanks about his journey. Literally one journey from the States to England during the war on a particular boat. Yeah, so I was just trying to think. Was he on a merchant ship, or was he on a? I think he was on a merchant ship, or he was protecting a merchant ship. So that was saying it was a very interesting movie. It just reminded me of the guns. Yeah, so I think it was called Ground Day or Ground Grey something. Yeah, I'll put it here right now.
Extends several decks below. It takes more than 80 men to operate a single one of these turrets.
How many men?
It takes more than 80 men to operate a single one of these turrets.
Wow.
When the turret rotates, the inside rotates as well. It's placed inside of a barbette, which is the armored housing of the turret that does not move. These are the cylindrical bearings that allow the turret to rotate. Inside the turret, there are a few different levels. These are the projectiles, or shells, basically the massive bullets that will be fired out of the gun. Below each turret are the handling rooms. And then close by are the powder magazines, which stores the powder bags filled with gunpowder. These are needed to fire the massive guns. Moving these powder bags requires a lot of manual labor. They had to be carried to one of the powder hoists, which would then lift them all the way up to the top.
Okay.
These projectile hoists are used to carry up the ammunition. Then at the top, there was a lot more work to do. The platform trays had to be pulled into position, ready for loading. A mechanical rammer pushed the shells all the way up into the barrel of the gun. Then
This is fascinating. It really is. I'm assuming majority of battleships worked in this manner during the Second World, like the battleships of this era, all kind of work the same. It's just I've never this much detail on. Yeah, this is absolutely fascinating.
All the way up into the barrel of the gun. Then 4 powder bags are manually loaded into each gun, for a total of 12 bags. Each gun had a breech block. These were now rotated up to close the breech, or the opening in the back of the gun. On some battleships, the guns were angled separately. But on the Arizona, all 3 guns were elevated to the same angle.
Okay. Cool. Imagine, I mean, you can't really put yourself, I can't put myself there. You're under attack. You're being attacked as well, and the pressure of those men in that little environment to make sure that you're doing your job, nothing goes wrong. It must be so hot, so nerve-wracking, like the vibrations, the noise. It must be terrifying being in that environment. I'm so grateful that, yeah, just...
There is a lot of men that must do their job correctly for this to work. I can only imagine what this would have been like in the middle of a battle. The USS Arizona had a total of 8 decks. On the outside, we have the superstructure deck and the upper deck.
Okay.
And then 6 more decks on the inside.
Okay.
Most of the living areas are in the higher decks. On the main deck, you've got a lot of areas for the crew to sleep on hammocks. But in the morning, they would put away the hammocks, and that same space could be used for other activities like eating a meal.
Right.
On the second deck, you've got more space for the crew, and then on the other side are the nicer accommodations, the officers' staterooms, the captain's cabin, and the admiral's cabin. On the third deck, you start to see a lot of machinery, storage spaces, repair shops. There's also more officers' staterooms at the very end. The bottom 3 decks are for most of the ship's machinery and equipment. On the first platform, you'll find the handling rooms right below the turrets, and the powder magazines right next to it. We saw this earlier in the video. The second platform had plenty of storage rooms.
Right.
And the hold is the bottom deck. It has the engines for the ship. If you're familiar with the Titanic, you'll notice some similarities here between the 2 ships. They were built around the same time, so the technology was similar. The Arizona had 6 boilers, used to burn oil and create steam. Some of that steam is used to create electricity for the ship, but the rest of it travels through pipes back to the ship's turbine engines. These turn the propeller shafts out the back, which moves the ship forward. Now, the Titanic used coal to power the ship. It was stored in these bunkers on the bottom of the ship. The Arizona, however, used oil, and it actually kept the oil in several different places. There are tanks here and here, but a lot of the oil is stored next to the bulkheads towards the outside of the ship, making use of any extra space that they could.
Oh.
The attack on Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th, 1941. Japanese planes flew over top and dropped bombs onto Battleship Row. This was one of the main targets of the attack. The USS Arizona received several of these bombs. One of them landed right by turret number 2, penetrating several decks, probably landing in one of the powder magazines. This created a massive explosion, which killed most of the men on board.
Oh dear. Oh.
Within minutes, the ship sank to the bottom of the harbor. In the weeks and months following the attack, many of these battleships were put back into service so that they could fight in World War II. But for other ships, the damage was catastrophic. On the USS Arizona, most of the victims were left in their final resting place right where they died. They cut off parts of the ship, and they were also able to salvage some of the guns and equipment on board. But the rest of the ship was left in the harbor right where it sank. Today, there is a memorial constructed on top of the Arizona.
Right, so this is what I briefly saw in the video I mentioned at the beginning. Yes, I remember the shape of the whiteness. Yeah, I remember this bit.
It opened to the public in 1962. Millions of people still come to see this every year. You'll notice that the shape of the memorial droops down in the middle. This represents the initial defeat of the war, and then moving back up to the high point as victory was achieved.
Okay.
There are 7 windows on each side, and also 7 windows on top. This represents the date of the attack, December 7th, 1941. If you want to visit the memorial, you'll start over here at the Pearl Harbor National Memorial. There's plenty of things to keep you busy. Lots of museum exhibits to walk through. There's a World War II submarine that you can actually go inside, and then you can take a bus across a bridge over to Ford Island, and then explore Battleship Missouri. The Japanese surrendered on the deck of this battleship in Tokyo Bay. This officially ended World War II. The Arizona Memorial is right next to the battleship. To get to the memorial, you have to take the ferry boat across the waters. The ferry boat leaves from here. There's room for up to 145 people, and it takes just a few minutes to get there. White buoys mark the position of the stern and bow of the Arizona.
Oh, okay. So you can
get off the boat here, climb up the ramp, and enter the memorial. To many people, this is considered sacred ground. There are 3 parts to the memorial: the entry room, the assembly room, and the shrine. The entry room can serve as a gathering place for ceremonies, but for the most part, you'll move through to the assembly room. You can learn more about the Arizona on these center displays, and then look off either side to see down onto the ship. There's a large hole in the middle of the floor so that visitors can look down directly onto the deck of the ship. The last room is the shrine. It has a large marble wall showing the names of all those that were killed on the Arizona. It's a long list. The sunlight can shine through some openings in the side walls. This design is called the Tree of Life, and it's a universal symbol of renewal and peace. The Tree of Life is on the other side of the memorial as well. There's only a few parts of the Arizona that still stick above the water. The largest is the barbette from turret number 3, and then one of the legs to the main mast. There's a flagpole attached here. If you look closely, you can see oil still leaking from the ship. This is often referred to as black tears. It's almost as if the ship is still grieving over what happened.
Oil is still leaking. 51, 61, 65 years later, oil is still leaking from the ship. Wow.
Some survivors of the Arizona have decided that when they die, they'll have their ashes placed inside the ship to join their crewmates. My name's Jared. I'm the guy that makes these videos, and wow, it takes a lot of work.
That's amazing.
If you want to see more animations like this, click one of the cards on screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. That, as you said, that was by Gerard Owen. Gonna give that a good old like, and I'm absolutely gonna subscribe to his channel because I just find that really fascinating. I think I've got my dates mixed up. I think it was long more than 60, what did I say, 65? It's more than that. Yeah, just briefly thought about that. Wow, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I learned about this. So much detail about the ship, about what happened with the Japanese. The memorial is so... I'm not good with words, but it's symbolic. It's I don't want to use the word nice, but it feels right for what happened. It's not over the top. I mean, it's literally over the top of the ship, yes, but it's not over the top in terms of the design. It's a very, yeah, symbolic shape, and yeah, I can imagine why that would be a landmark that is part of the US history. And yeah, guys, it's a bit of a different video to what I normally do, but I'm glad I did it. I do want to do stuff that I'm interested in as well, as I said in previous videos. Yeah, thank you for watching, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.